Good morning and Happy New Year to all those who are watching my videos. I want to continue on the authorship of books. Just one question by one of the participants in the Academy of HRD Fellow Program brought out an idea which I have been thinking for a long time to share my thoughts behind the work of writing books. I've already shared the first 6 and then my sole authorship books, about a dozen of them, in the earlier 3 videos. I was just this morning counting how many of my books were co-authored, how many were by me, and how many were by people from other countries and so on. So I came up with very interesting statistics which I had put in the LinkedIn page today. Out of the 60 and odd books I had written, authored, co-authored, edited, co-edited, about 12 are entirely on my own. They were done singularly by myself. And I'm very proud of these books. And many of these came in the last 10-15 years. About 14 of the 60 books were written with Udai Pareek as a co-author. Most of the time, he is the senior author. There are some items on which I was the first author, 14 of them. In this video, I would want to tell more about these 14 books which I co-authored with Dr. Udai Pareek. Udai and I had been almost life partners in this writing business. It was he who got me into writing, as I mentioned in the first 6. I think our books, good number of books we have jointly done were in the first decade of his work at IIM Ahmedabad and my work at IIM Ahmedabad. As I mentioned earlier, the first book we worked on was the status study of population research in behavioral sciences. The second book was the handbook of psychological and social instruments, done by Udai Pareek and me again. Third was the handbook of developing entrepreneurship. The fourth was, which I didn't mention in the last set, a collection of papers which we had held a conference on institution building at IIM Ahmedabad. This was done jointly with, it is edited by Ravi Mathai, Udai Pareek and me. This collection consisted of a large number of institution building experiences shared by people like Ishwar Dayal, Kamala Chaudhary, Naidamma, B.D. Tilak, Yashpal, Prayag Mehta, and so on and so forth, besides Udai Pareek and Ravi Mathai. This is a great book. I think this book is even valued even today and has a lot of insights about institution building. And one of the most significant insights provided in this is the thought process behind building of IIM Ahmedabad by Ravi Mathai himself. The next, which is worth mentioning in our joint work, was performance appraisal manuals, which Udai and I had done sometime in the year 1978. As most of you are aware, we started the HRD system in L&T in 1974-75, then in State Bank of India. Then I was requested to join Bharat Movers. But before I joined Bharat Movers, I started experimenting with the performance appraisal system in BEML itself. And we had to train a large number of people. We used the strategy of train the trainer. In order to train the trainer, we needed manuals. And that is when Udai and I wrote the performance appraisal manuals, a series of 3 books. One giving an ideal kind of an appraisal system at the time. Second is actually a workbook on implementing different parts of appraisal, including performance analysis, including performance coaching, and a number of other conceptual things that are required, like how to give feedback, how to receive feedback, and things like that. And the third was a trainer's manual. This was a series of 3 manuals which we published jointly in the year 1978. In fact, these were widely circulated and used by Bharat Movers, where we trained a group of trainers to conduct the workshops. And later this was used, and these have gone through many revisions, and the latest is by myself and Nandini Chawla at TVRLS. We made lots and lots of changes, and I think in the last 50 years many things have happened, so we incorporated these. The next in the series of our joint authorship is Designing and Managing HR Systems, which had won Escorts Award. The story behind this is that the seeds for this were laid by our work with L&T in the year 1975 itself. After our recommendations were accepted fully by L&T, we were requested to assist the implementation task force. An implementation task force was formed with one Govind Advani as the convener of the task force, and a large number of other line managers and D.F. Pereira being members of it. For almost next 3 years, we were actively assisting the task force and making sure that the system that we have implemented, which included open appraisal system, performance coaching, and things like that, is implemented well. So the theoretical basis has already been laid. It's being practiced there. State Bank of India adopted it later. Then I had joined Bharat Movers to implement the HRD system for them. I encountered a number of interesting issues while implementing in the Bharat Movers. That particular year I spent with Bharat Movers. As soon as I returned back to IIM Ahmedabad, Udai and I thought that it is time that we popularize the concept of human resource development system. We held on behalf of IIM a seminar, a nationwide seminar, and invited people to come and share their experiences as well as react to whatever we were doing. This was the time Udai wrote the theoretical part of the HRD, designing HR systems, and I wrote the practical part of it, particularly by bringing down my own experiences with Bharat Movers. You will find the last chapter in our book is, without mentioning the name of the company, implementing HRDS in a public sector undertaking. Many interesting concepts have been mentioned in that, experiences have been mentioned in that. So we tested out a number of chapters of this book in the year 1978 and started improving on it, and finally published in the year 1981. Oxford and IBH published it. This is Designing and Managing HR Systems. Since then it has gone through 2 revisions, but I think one of the revisions was when Udai, sometime in late 80s or early 90s, when Udai broke his leg and was bedridden for several months. So we focused those few months on revising the book, adding a number of other experiences, and writing on this. So that is the story of designing and managing HR systems, which we are very proud. Even today, this seems to be a good textbook for most of the HR people across the country. Then the next one I must mention is what Udai Pareek and I had written on behavior process in organizations. We were feeling the need for writing this because whenever we taught the PGPs, postgraduate program in IIM, we were collecting articles from here and there and banking on other resources. We thought concepts are same, we should be bringing in our own kind of experiences. So that year, Pastanji, Professor Pareek and I were teaching. So 3 of us together designed the entire course inputs and prepared this book called Behavior Process in Organizations. The next book I must mention is Developing Motivation Through Experiencing. This also is an interesting story. I happened to be at East West Center, Hawaii in the year 1975, and I made a lot of friends there. And we also started a body called Endeavor, Entrepreneurial Development Association. This is supposed to be an international body, but it never took off as an international body. But the Malaysian friends, which included one Dr. Tajuddin Jali, Joe Hassan from Institute of Technology, Mara, and Tajuddin was the executive director of the Urban Development Authority, Kuala Lumpur. All of us together, I think, actually the Malaysians started NERDA, National Entrepreneurial Research and Development Association. And they were very interested in pursuing this, and they approached UNDP and requested Udai Pareek to go there as a consultant. Udai spent a couple of months, and later naturally uh, he would want me to join him, and even I went there as a UNDP consultant. Both of us working with MIDF, Malaysian uh, Industrial Development Finance, a corporation for which our task was to build entrepreneurship in this corporation. So that was the time when we were using a lot of exercises like win as much as you can, desert survival, number of role plays, tests, and so on. And we were training all the people in MIDF to be trainers of entrepreneurship. In the process, we prepared a lot of material, and these are the material which we have put together when we returned back and published the book Developing Motivation Through Experiencing, which again became a very popular book in developing entrepreneurs. So this, along with the Handbook of Developing Entrepreneurs, became master kind of accompaniments for most of the people who were training entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. I think that completes a number of things that we had done together. I think it was at this time Udai was invited as the UNESCO consultant to build a group of people to train trainers in education management. And you all know that both Udai Pareek and I have had our bachelors of education degrees, and we were very passionate about training education managers. So Udai went to UNESCO and he was requested to write a book on training the trainers, Handbook of Training Trainers in Education Management. Naturally, he would bank on me to assist him. So both of us together, we spent some time in UNESCO Bangkok, spent some time back in Ahmedabad, and prepared a handbook which was tested out in various UNESCO Southeast Asian countries and published by UNESCO itself as a Handbook of Training Education Managers. Many years later, the same was, we made some minor modifications and published as a book in India with permission from UNESCO, because UNESCO books are limited in circulation. They were not available for many. So that is when we thought we should go to a private publisher and get this done. UNESCO kindly permitted us. So this is the book, Handbook of Training Education Managers. I think this book is available, I'm sure, even today, is the next in series. It is at this time it occurred to us that the original work which Udai and I had done in as a part of the Indian Council of Medical Research ICMR project on motivation training for mental health, where we demonstrated teacher behavior can be changed through classroom observation and feedback of the observation to the teachers, and through changing teacher behavior we can impact student mental health. This was a great experiment we had done. This was not published as a book, it was only published as an ICMR and National Institute of Health Administration monograph. So we decided we should publish it, simplified the language, made it a little more generic kind of a thing, and prepared a book called Changing Teacher Behavior Through Feedback. Changing Teacher Behavior Through Feedback. Udai approached ICFI Business School, and ICFI was kind enough to publish it. Unfortunately, they didn't popularize this book, and the ICFI Publication Division itself went dormant. As a result, this book is not so much available, but copies of this, soft copies of these, are available in with the Academy of HRD. Next in the series was a performance appraisal workshop. We started on behalf of the Academy of HRD round tables, where we started getting people from different companies to share their experience of performance management. So we gathered these papers and published as a book in performance appraisal, published by Tata McGraw-Hill. And last in the series, to the extent I can recollect, I must mention, is our own Larsen & Toubro consulting reports, which were published as Pioneering HRD L&T Experience by the Academy of HRD. Friends, these are, I think, I may have forgotten one or two books which we have done together, but these are the ones. And you know, each one of these publications, though co-authored by Udai and me, had a lot of years of work behind it, and there is passion, there is commitment, and there is a reason to serve people who need it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. All the best for you to collaborate with each other and write.